Well, another day on the campaign trail has come to an end, and today saw me spend time out in Geary, where I looked at a range of sustainable farming practices. And I found that fascinating to see just how some farmers are able to manage in this incredible drought and still be able to have cattle and sheep roaming on their land and actually still be able to produce an income. I also went out around Arthurville and then Suntop and looked at some farms out there, but also looked at some solar farms that are going to come around that area. And that's interesting. We've got the Badangra wind farms near Wellington, and around Suntop, which is again near Wellington, we've got some solar farms, in addition to some other solar farms that are going in around Wellington. So a real hub of renewable energy. But we've also got to be careful to balance farming, productive farming land, and being able to use productive farmland with the ability to produce renewable energy. And this is something that I think government has still got to think about quite seriously, because we still need to eat. We still need to be able to have farms to produce produce so that people can actually eat. I also met with the Mayor of Dubbo Regional Council today, and I thank him for his time. Well, I'm just about at the end of another interesting and fun day on the campaign trail. It was an early start to the campaign trail today. I started with the Dubbo Chamber of Commerce breakfast, and the Chamber here in Dubbo does an absolutely fantastic job, and they have a regular breakfast where they have some excellent guest speakers, and George Frame was the speaker today, and he told an interesting story about his time with community radio, in fact his time in media in general, but specifically at the moment in community radio in Tamworth. I went and then did my regular radio spot on DCFM, Dubbo's local community radio station, and then I went and spoke to a farm consultant who gave me some fascinating information on some great research being done at the moment on farming practices in Australia and specifically around this region. And I think there's some different ways we need to look at farming practices, and I am hearing a lot from farmers about different ways they do farming, and I think that's something that government really needs to consider as we go forward to make sure that we are using what we have here, the resources we have, in the best possible way.
So good evening to Amy and Alicia, and also Mathew Dickerson, who's the independent candidate for the state seat of Dubbo. Now I'd like to call to the microphone Patricia Munoz to talk about stakeholder engagement, and this particularly in this next phase of the project.
You won't hear me complaining about just a few drops of rain hitting my head at the moment. In fact, earlier on this evening in Narromine, when the rain did start to come down, it certainly put a smile on a few people's faces, and obviously a lot more rain is needed, but every bit of rain that comes, people know that they're closer to getting towards the end of this 18-month drought that we've been going through. I have spent most of my time in Narromine today, and Inland Rail has been the topic of conversation for basically everyone I've spoken to today. Inland Rail, or ARTC, actually had a meeting, a public forum in Narromine this evening. There were about 60 people there in attendance, and I think it is great, and the feedback that I've given to the liaison officers and the federal member and certainly the ARTC themselves has been to get out there and communicate more with the community. There's a lot of questions being asked. I don't know all the answers to those questions. I'm not sure who does know all the answers to those questions, but communication is the absolute critical component of Inland Rail. Now, Inland Rail has the potential to be absolutely fantastic for all of inland eastern seaboard Australia, but we need to make sure the communication is right during that entire process. And tonight, I think it was a good presentation. They went through, they answered some questions, but more importantly, I think there was a different attitude from ARTC. You could see that there was very much a willingness to communicate, very much a willingness to get the answers to people that they've been asking for so long. And I had some discussions with some of the ARTC representatives there afterwards, and certainly I stressed from my perspective what I've heard from the community in my time dealing with Inland Rail and dealing with people in the community has been that lack of information. And I got some assurances from ARTC that there will be more information flowing, and Narromine and other people along the Inland Rail path can expect to see more information flowing. So that was very much appreciated by the people in the audience. It was also noticed by myself and by certainly other people in the room that it was disappointing that there were no politicians in the room, no other candidates in the room. This is an incredibly important piece of infrastructure for Australia, and people in Narromine have been screaming out, they've been crying out for some representation, for someone to come along and talk to them. Now, even though this is not a state project per se, it's a federal government project, I still felt like there had to be someone there to be able to talk to them from some level of government, and again, I've stressed to many people, I'm not in government yet, I'm just an average citizen, but what I'm trying to do is be a good representative, and just being out here and being at this meeting, to me, felt like I was being a good representative, and many people wanted to come and talk to me during the process. We're driving home from Narromine, and it's absolutely magnificent to be driving in the rain. Not sure I've used these windscreen wipers much lately, but great to be using them now. Surprise, surprise, surprise. Here I am after official sunset, and I'm just finishing off my day on the campaign trail, just getting a chance to do my daily summary. I'm out in Maryvale at the moment, which is down near Wellington, and it's been a full and a somewhat sad day today as well. I started off the day in Dubbo, where I met with some businesses, and I wanted to talk to them about how things are going with the economy, if the drought's having an impact yet. And as I found out before, it probably was echoed today, the drought is not having a major impact on businesses yet, but it makes some business income a little bit patchy. But I think we've got more to see in terms of the impact on businesses in Dubbo as we go through. And again, there's been some rain around, that's great, but the drought doesn't break the day there's rain. So there still will be a little bit to go there. I took some time off the campaign trail to attend the funeral of Sandy Dunshea, and that was a sad but also a happy occasion because we celebrated the life of Sandy, and Sandy had an absolutely packed life. I knew Sandy from my time in the Rotary Club of Dubbo South, and I've done some business with Sandy over the years. But what I saw today and what I heard today is there's a whole range of things. I thought I knew Sandy well, but there's a whole range of things that Sandy was involved in, and he was one of those people in the community that was a real goer, and he will be incredibly missed, obviously by Pam, by his family, but by the wider community. There's not many people like Sandy that come along, and when someone is lost that's like that, that does leave a big hole in the community, apart from the hole in the hearts of many people. After the funeral, I came down to Wellington, where I was booked in to meet with the Deputy Mayor of Dubbo Regional Council and the former Mayor of Wellington Shire Council, Anne Jones, and it was good to have a talk to Anne about what's happening from a council perspective, but she also took me along to Bingjang Radio, where she is the Treasurer, and we talked about Bingjang. I spoke to Tony Graham about a range of things they've been doing and are doing there at Bingjang, and gee, it's impressive there for a community radio station to see what they've done with community funds, and look, I was very impressed, and good luck to Bingjang and continue on doing the great work that you've been doing. I then ended up out here in Maryvale, where I've met with a few farmers, and again just talked to them about a range of conditions, just getting different perspectives on things. And I think that's really important, to make sure I'm getting across a range of perspectives, not just hearing from one person or one group or one area, making sure I get a whole range of opinions so that I can be an effective voice if I do make it through to Parliament next year. I feel like I've got an early mark today. It's not quite sunset, and I finished my day on the campaign trail. I got a nice early start this morning. It was about 7 a.m. when I drove out to Wambangalang to visit a farmer out there, and he'd been good enough to arrange a few farmers from nearby, just some neighbouring farmers, to come along and have a discussion, and we chatted around a whole range of things, and I thank those people for their time, mostly farming obviously, but a whole range of other state government issues, and people really appreciate it when you take the time to go out and have a discussion, not a 5-minute visit and a photo, a real discussion, and talk about some real issues, and spend the time with them to go through a whole range of issues. While I was there, I did get roped into jumping into the sheep yards and rounding up a few sheep. I'm not quite sure what the sheep thought of a bloke in a suit trying to round them up. It's quite amusing, but I was happy to help out. I'm not sure if I did help out a lot, but happy to jump in and do that. It's been a long time since I've done that. Back when I was at school, you'd often get roped into going out to a friend's place that lived around Dubbo that had a farm. I'm not sure if the parents organised for visits from school friends to come when there was some work to be done around the farm, or there was always work to be done around the farm, but it was good to jump back in the sheep yards and do a few minutes work there today. I then went on to Toongai. I had a look at Toongai Hall. In my time as Mayor, Dubbo City Council was responsible for Toongai Hall, and I want to have a look at that and just see how that all looked and the condition that was in. And then I had a farmer to visit there in Toongai, and we chatted about a range of things, again, all related to farming and the drought and what things could be done to help in a drought situation like we've got. Then I went across to Terramunga Mine, looked at Terramunga Mine Reserve, talked to a few people there because that's obviously used for camping, and we get a lot of people coming through Dubbo and camping there. And then went and visited someone there on a 25-acre block in Terramunga Mine. And again, it's great to just have those conversations and talk about a few things. Then I came into my shop, and it's good to actually call in and spend a little bit of time in my shop every now and again. I like to spend some time there just to stay in touch with technology, make sure the staff still know who I am. They don't see a lot of me these days. But it doesn't take long. When I came into the shop, I sat down, had a chat to a staff member, and someone came in just to catch up with me about some of their political views, and that's great. So I love being there from time to time because people do often come in and talk about political ideas and different issues. My staff often joke with me that if I could stop talking about politics in the shop, I might actually be a good salesperson. I might actually sell a phone or two. So I finished there at the shop. We've locked up for the day, and we close at 4 o'clock on a Saturday, so I finished there now, and I've just come down to do my summary, and then I'll go home and have an early night tonight, ready for another bright start to the week for another week on the campaign trail next week. This has been Mathew Dickerson, your independent voice.